Hey, how's everybody doing? Welcome to Worst Reviews Ever with your boy, Sophisticated Jerk and Amazing. So, all right, today we're going to cover the Sinners, the new movie that just came out. So, yeah, we had to go check that one out. So, let me go ahead pull up the slides real quick. So, Sinners is a 2025 American horror film written, co produced, and directed by Ryan Coogler. So, the plot on this is trying to leave their troubled lives behind, twin brothers return to their hometown to start again, only to discover that an even greater evil is waiting to welcome them back. So, directors and producers. So, directed by Ryan Coogler, produced by Zini Coogler, Sev Onahin, and Ryan again. So, yeah, Ryan everywhere in this movie. Shout out to Ryan. So, the cast for this movie, of course, Michael B. Jordan, and he played Elijah Smoke Moore and Elias Stackmore, the criminal twin brothers. Then we have Haley Steinfeld as Mary, Stack's ex-girlfriend. Miles Cantoon as Sammy, Preacher Boy Moore, Smoke and Stack's cousin. Jack O'Connell as Remick, an Irish vampire. Woomy as Annie, Smoke's wife. I'm not even going to butcher the last name. Jamie Lawson as Pearline, a singer. And Murat Seven as Omar Aksoy. And Omar Miller as Cornbread, a field worker and bouncer. So, all right, we'll go ahead and, let me pull up the trailer real quick and then, we'll give the ratings.
I've been all over this world. I seen men die in ways I ain't even know was possible. Hey, brother. Be careful. I will. With all the things that I seen, I ain't ever seen no demons, no ghosts, no magic. Till now.
To get back inside.
Let me in, man. Some weird shit going on out here. You keep dancing with the devil. One day he's gonna follow you home.
All right. So amazing. What's your rating for this movie?
I'm gonna go with 7.8.
So 7.8. Very good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm gonna give it a 7.5. So in very good territory also. So all right, you go ahead, kick it off with the questions.
I gave it a 7.8 because I thought everybody did a great job as far as actresses. I just thought this was a twist on kind of your average vampire movie. All the way from the way they did Smoke and Stack being one actor, which I thought that was kind of cool, just the way they did the one actor but made him like a twin or whatever. So I thought that was neat. But I thought that was neat. I thought it was cool the way they kind of like did it back in the 1930s and brought in some of the racial stuff and talked about how just kind of like the segregation. What did I think about this plot and the storyline? Again, I thought it was good. Now, even after watching the if you were just to watch the trailer, you don't necessarily know it's vampires. I don't think, like, it's not a clear indication, like, something's going on, but I don't think it's like a super clear indication that it's vampires. So I did think it was neat, just the way that was kind of portrayed. And then I also liked the fact that it just had a good story with it. It wasn't just like these vampires going out killing everybody. It brought in like the music, which was kind of what everything was based around, the music, and how the music can just bring past, present, and future together. So I really like that a lot. For performances, of course, I would say Michael B. Jordan. Of course, he's a great actor in these different movies. Other stuff that stuck out, I thought it was kind of funny the way that the one twin, I can't think of which one now, I think it was Stack, that was with the girl that turned into a vampire and ended up getting him. I liked the way that the church, how the Sammy's father was kind of that pastor, and he kind of warned him about his ways and going out with the music and things. And then come to find out later that that guitar that he used actually would have been belonging, I guess, to his brother, if I got that correctly. And the brother, so that would have been his uncle's guitar, actually. And how they said he was kind of an evil man, basically. Stack and Smoke said he was an evil guy, and that he actually did have a good dad. And then how he was kind of told, go back home. This is going to be it for you. I feel like I'm jumping all over the place without giving too much details of the movie. But so when Stack and Smoke buy this place, they're going to have this juke club or whatever. They're buying it from racist people, and they come up with like this stack of money. So when they get Sammy to go play at their grand opening, they bring in all these people from the past, and they are their past in that town. And everybody knows like their history, they're scary people. So for example, I thought one of the scenes that was good is when they go, I think it was Smoke, when he goes to try to get food and things for this grand opening they're having. And he calls a girl, and he says, have you ever heard of Smoke and Stack Brothers? And she immediately kind of gets scared. And when he says that he is one of those brothers, but then he pays her and kind of gives her some advice on how to negotiate for pay to watch his truck. Then you have, he goes into, they're working with like this Asian market that they have in town, who that lady ends up screwing them completely over in the movie later on into the movie, screws them over big time. But when Smoke comes back out and people are trying to like get into his vehicle, and he just shoots them both in the kneecaps, or one in the butt, I think, and one in the kneecap, just to make sure like everybody knows like he's still hurt, I guess. I thought that was a funny part of the movie. So that stuck out to me, but really just everybody kind of coming back and the way they did the different vampire scenes, because you don't really know completely they're vampires. I mean, it was a little ways in, I think, I'm trying to think, I cannot think of his name, but I guess the head vampire, when he ends up at, like this isolated house, and he knocks on the door, the husband and wife answer with guns, and you can see like a KKK hood in the back. And so they end up letting them in, and then some Native Americans show up looking for them. And you can tell like the lady's purely racist anyways. And the Native American, he's trying to help her out, saying, did you let this guy in? He's not what he seems, and his skin was like all bubbly and stuff when he first went in. So, but of course she's like, nope, he's not here. And then next thing you know, her husband's like totally eaten up in the corner, and then she gets hers too. So I thought it was really good. It was a different take on vampire movies, but I had a good I guess the storyline with the way the music brought everything in. But it really gave it had like such a good history, I thought, to it. It's hard to explain exactly, but I would definitely recommend it. Would I change or do anything differently? I don't think so. I would like there to be a part two. I think that they could definitely do. I think they could do it. The very very ending when they did some shots of Sammy, I guess as like an elderly guy still playing. That messes up my vision a little bit because we'd have to try to backtrack that piece. But otherwise, I think it would be good to have a part two when Sammy maybe be like goes in his father's footsteps and becomes like a preacher slash vampire hunter. I think that would be cool.
All right. So I gave this a 7.5, which was in a, I think, very good territory. And the reason why I gave it that, because like you said, I think it was a very different spin on a vampire movie, because I ain't gonna lie, I'm burnt out with vampire movies. Like, typically they all got the same plot, storyline, but I thought this was unique because, like you said, they had so many different elements since it took place in 1930s with the Jim Crow and all that, because that kind of threw you off. Where it's just like, oh shit, here's two you know hoodlums that went up to Chicago, put in work, and then came down back home, and they still carrying that with them. So it's like, oh, okay. It more started looking like one of those like mobster bootleg movies. Like it was gonna kind of turn up like that, where maybe they were gonna go against like either some like local gangs or like the KKK in the movie. So I like how they kind of I think blinded you with those elements. But as soon as, like you said, they bought the club and stuff, that's when the one guy that was like the vampire and stuff, and he came there and was started turning everybody and stuff. So it just showed like how quick like he could kind of convince people and pull them into his group. But the one thing I'll say that they did differently with vampires is, typically they make the vampires just like bloodthirsty, but this one it was like almost like they made the main vampire guy the devil somewhat, because he understood music and how music was important to influence people and stuff like that. So it has some of those like biblical implications in there, because like I think the devil was like pretty much heavily involved in music and stuff. So he was like, hey, I got to get this boy because music could draw people in. So even when he was turning people, they were outside, they were like performing music. So I like the spin, because it seemed like everybody was moving towards their sins, and that's what kind of end up getting them converted to like vampires and stuff. So he played on that. So like the scene you was talking about that I think definitely stuck out was in the beginning. They could have got him because the Indians had him like hunted down, and he had his back against the wall. But the two clan members, when they let him in the house, they pretty much was like ignored all the red flags, like my man's skin on fire because of the sun. But because they were Indians and he was a white male, they were like, oh, we don't know, let him in the house. So he kind of just played into their racism and stuff like that. So they got converted. Then some of the other people, like the one lady that was with Preacher Boy, cheating on her husband, the two twins, they were kind of like the sins of the father, so they were beaten, so they turned out to be bad and stuff like that. So you have so many different like dynamics of like people dealing with their own sins, but it kind of got them like turned over. So I like how they tie that into the movie. So as far as like scenes and performances, like I said, the scenes that I mentioned, those were definitely ones that stuck out. But performances, Michael B. Jordan definitely did his thing. I think the cast all together, like you don't typically see him in a ton of movies, so I like that in this movie, and it seemed like they've been acting forever, so they did a great job as far as like acting, especially in that time, and it's still being a horror film. I think they did an excellent job. And then if I was the director or the producer of the movie, what would I change or do differently? I wouldn't really change anything because I probably would have took out the chicks in the party twerking. And there was Crip Walkers. Nah, that scene was funny. So I mean, I wouldn't really change too much of the movie. I think I do like how you was mentioning because I would like to see how possibly part two where like Preacher Boy could have turned into like kind of like took on his cousins where he became all hardcore, start hunting them down, and it could like bounce somewhere else. So I would have liked to see more of a connection, a possibility of leaving it open. And then the one twin that at the end, like I know he got shot in the stomach and it looked like he died, so maybe he could have came back also. So yeah, left a little bit of wiggle room to like have a sequel or something, but all together, I thought it was a good ending because he did get some revenge on them the clan that was gonna come there and try to shoot them up and sell them that faulty property. So I also like how they got the payback in the end because it kind of showed like even though they went through this thing with the vampires, the clan was actually probably just as evil as they were. So I like how they kind of made that connection in a movie where it's just like, okay, vampires and you got the racism that was showing his head that was like just as bad and stuff. So, I like how that kind of tied in. And even the vampire, he was like, it's like he understood, like I said, everybody sins and evil. Cause when he was like converting all the black people that was at the party and stuff, trying to, get them changed over. He was like, look, man, if we all band together, he was like using tactful words and stuff. He was like, look, we could go get them. They were going to like screw you guys over. I know about it. Here's just two people right there. Let's go get them next. So it just showed like him just being natural evil. He's going to get everybody, evil don't discriminate. So he was like, look, I'm gonna get y'all, but we're gonna go get them other folks too. So I kind of like how they showcase that because I think a lot of times people think that they're exempt from like evil doings and shit. Like it's not gonna come back to get you for what you're doing. So no, I thought it was an excellent movie, and I like how they tied in all those dynamics. I saw some people giving it like lower ratings. They were like, it sucks, but I don't think they caught all the connections of the movie and stuff. So
I think too, the way you're saying like that devil piece, even because the preacher first tells Sammy the son in the very beginning, like you keep chasing the devil and one day the devil is gonna follow you back home or something similar to that. And then when I can't think of the husband's name, but the Asian couple, when he got the husband at first, and then he started speaking Chinese to her. And they tried to lure her with using the daughter because they had left the daughter at home. So again, just like using, just going like to what like a devil would know, he could try to basically influence you to come that way to use something like that against you. So I think that's a good point.
yeah, no, I definitely like how they did that. Like you said, because she's the one that invited him in. It's like you said, screwed him over. So he knew how to like plug on people's weaknesses and stuff and exploit that. Yeah, and I forgot to mention a major plot for this movie that we missed out because we covered the evil and the racism and all the connection. But in 1930s, they were eating coochie, so that was another one that was like, so that came out in the movie. I didn't know that, but all right. As far as ratings, amazing. You gonna go up, down, stay the same?
I'll pop up to an even 8, right between very good and excellent.
All right, you killing the mates lately, man. You liking the 8, so you got it between very good and excellent. I'm gonna go up to like a 7.7. I can't do the 8 territory, but still in very good. So overall, I definitely like the movie. Definitely recommend y'all check it out. Let us know what y'all think about it. Let us know if me and Amazing are tripping on this. But shout out to Michael B. Jordan. Definitely blowing up. I remember back in the days when he was like the skinny kid in The Wire. So definitely came up. But all right, y'all. Peace.